What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Week 10 NFL Roundtable. I'm joined tonight.
Missing somebody?
We are. It's not the ugly mug or the shaved head of Tommy G.
Or the loudness.
He'll be here soon. He'll be making a loud entry soon.
What up? Let's get weird.
Yeah, exactly. So we're frantically awaiting the arrival of Tommy G, but in the meantime, you're kind of stuck with the more informative, level-headed people that are actually going to make you some money this NFL weekend. Tonight, I'm joined by Jerry. Jerry, how was Week 9, and what are you looking forward to most here in Week
10? Week 9 was not my best week. I didn't have as much exposure to that Texans game as I wanted to. I was a little overexposed to that Mac Jones stack that we talked about on the roundtable, which was okay, but it just didn't have the upside as the Texans stack did. I mean, I didn't have any of that in my main lineup, so I mean, without that stack, we were pretty much dead. But we'll get him back this week.
That's right, on to Week 10. And Mike, the con man, how you doing this week?
Well, lucky for me, I did have and tout last week on this very show the Stroud, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell stack. You know, I missed out obviously with Nico Brown, but did pretty well with Stroud. I didn't win the top prize, but I cashed in, most of my lineups. I did a lot of chasing this week for like tickets and last call this and, qualifiers. So I made a little money, but you didn't win obviously the top prize, which was a ticket, but had some good lineups, but without that Nico Brown, I mean, it was hard to get there.
Yeah, one of my 3 max lineups was a Stroud, Dell, Schultz. So I didn't have the Brown or Collins, but just having that combination, I did not have White as the run back. I would have had Mike Evans. So it cashed, but didn't compete with the top dogs there with the running back and or Cade Otton. So we move on. Week 10, we still have 8 more weeks here of the regular season. Some big prizes up for grabs as usual in the NFL. And we got a 10-game main slate again. We'll have a morning AM game. I know we talked about it last week. These London, this week we're in Germany once again. So tougher for all of us, I feel like, to get really hyped up for those morning games. It's not like, at least me personally, not cracking beers at 9:30 in the morning. Jerry's rolling out of bed, having a cup of coffee at 6:30.
I'm not even out of bed yet, man.
But anyway, we got a 10-game main slate. So a few higher totals than we saw last week. I think there was a much more concentration, primarily on that Eagles-Cowboys game. Soaked up a ton of ownership last week. I think it's a bit more spread out. So we'll kind of do our best here as we go through it based on the news, the latest and greatest news we have rolling into this one as we go game by game. So you boys ready to jump in and get started?
Yes, sir.
Let's roll.
All right. The 1 p.m. window, let's get started with the let's see where we're going to start. Let's go with the Packers visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers. 38.5-point total. The Steelers a 3-point home favorite in this one. Mike, Tommy's not here. I'm going to kick it to you here first. Get us started.
Enjoy these few minutes while he's not here, and
I got it.
Hear what you actually got to say.
I don't know if you guys watched They Cash him today, but he rushed me. I go, Tommy, you're gonna yell at me tonight and tell me I'm martyring, but start with me. And I was all ready to go with the first game on the slate, which was Cleveland-Baltimore, but Healy threw a fucking wiffle ball curve, and here I am. I think that this game could be a sneaky offensive game here. Now, hear me out. I know you guys both hate Jordan Love, so do I. Terrible, but 38 points, and both of them can be run on. Both of these teams, when you can run the ball, it opens up the passing game, as we all know. Both of these teams are very bad against the run. I only like the Jones side because I think that the Pittsburgh, running back situation is a mess. I like Deontay Johnson on the Pittsburgh side. Again, a target monster. I like Musgrave as maybe a one-off type thing, but I'm mainly interested in Aaron Jones here and Deontay Johnson. I mean, again, Pittsburgh's defense, you can even pass against them. It's just that I don't want to get there with Love.
Got it. And Jerry, how about you? What are you looking at in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Mike on this one. This game is pretty simple for me. It's not a game I'm looking to stack whatsoever, but there's definitely some pieces from this game that I do like. For the Steelers, it's Deontay Johnson for me. Since coming back from his injury, he's averaging almost 10 targets a game. And this Green Bay secondary, it's still kind of banged up. So he should be able to take advantage of that matchup. His price on DraftKings is still only $5,400. So, I mean, it's very easy for you to get to him there. It's such a good matchup for the running backs. I think one of either Najee or Warren have a pretty good game here. Both are priced pretty cheap. And I mean, if I had to lean on one of them, I think I'd probably go Warren. He looks a little bit more explosive to me than Najee, but I could see one of them is going to get into the box for sure here. But trying to pin down which one it's going to be, that's going to be kind of tough. But I mean, you can go to one of these running backs if you wanted to. And
I mean, Najee is the cheapest he's been in 3 years.
Yeah, they're cheap. I mean, it's who you just end up getting to if you want a piece of that running game. And like I said, Warren, he looks way more explosive than Najee does. But I mean, it could be either one of them that gets into the end zone, and I think that's what you're going to end up having to need. And on the Green Bay side, it's really only Aaron Jones for me. He looks like he's back to being healthy. He's going to see a full workload here. I think he's probably going to be one of the highest owned backs on the slate. He's pretty underpriced for his role here. He's only $6,500 on DK and $6,800 on FanDuel. I mean, he can easily pay off that price tag. I kind of don't mind like a little mini stack of like Deontay and then Aaron Jones on the other side. It's something I would definitely have in tournaments.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think I'm a little higher on Najee. Like, I know the backfield is a bit split. I do lean towards Najee. He's the one that seems to get the first crack most weeks when they get it down inside the red zone. And Mike, I saw a stat in the trenches. This is the first time all season that the Pittsburgh have a plus matchup on the O-line versus their opponent's defensive line, which on
the offensive side, I'm showing a slight advantage with the run blocking and a negative in the pass blocking.
Yeah, so for the running game, this is the first time that they've been plus all season.
And Najee Harris is going to have a game where he gets 3 touchdowns and just breaks the board. It's inevitably going to happen at some point, right?
And I think on this slate, I think like on DraftKings, I think he's going to have some ownership.
Yeah, he should.
He's looking to show like 50%.
I mean, is their lead back to Healy's point gets first crack? I mean, and he is
price. I mean, 4,900.
4,900 is low. Yeah,
that's like dirt cheap, man.
It's a good spot for him. Home game. Yeah, maybe we do play him a little more.
Yeah, so I like him. Again, Aaron Jones does look good. He'd be the only Packer that I would consider. He's pretty much game script proof because we know his role. If they go down in a negative game script, he can work out of the backfield. A.J. Dillon's certainly not getting that role. But yeah, I don't mind correlating Najee Harris even with the Steelers. Jordan Love.
What do you think about Kenny Pickett?
I can't get to him, man. He doesn't look good either. You got Pickens freaking throwing a temper tantrum on the sideline last week.
Well, he's been screaming all week.
Yeah, but I mean, Mike Tomlin, again, coach speak came out and basically said you won't see a squeaky wheel narrative. Like, we're not just going to force feed this guy the ball. Like,
right.
He's got to grow up.
I respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me in this one, it's Najee. I don't mind correlating with the Steelers if you have the money. And then Deontay Johnson, more just a one-off filler, very good at his price. If I land on that spot, no issues with Deontay Johnson. Anything else in this one, guys?
What about Musgrave?
I threw him in there initially when I said it, but at that price, 3,700, got 14 points last week. You have to get a piece, I think, of a passing game against the Steelers. I mean, they're giving up 244 yards a game. Aaron Jones is a piece of it, obviously. So I don't mind like an Aaron Jones Musgrave.
I kind of looked at him a little bit. I mean, there's other cheap tight ends on the slate that I like a lot more, but I mean, I don't mind him.
Yeah, I don't mind the call. I'm with you. There's some others that in that range that I'm just higher on, but it does help. Minkah Fitzpatrick, the free safety for the Steelers, who's the best coverage safety against the tight end, is out with a hamstring. So it is a boost to Musgrave's matchup here. Let's continue on here. Another 38.5 point total in Baltimore. We have the Browns visiting the Ravens. The Ravens a 6.5 point home favorite. Mike, I know I threw you the curveball, but we'll go right back to you here.
Yeah, he was waiting for the fastball. This is his fastball.
Well, it's going to be really, it's going to be really easy.
You're throwing him fucking breaking balls.
It's going to be really easy. Everybody, close your eyes and tell me what you see, and that's what I like in this game, other than defense, because you have the number 1 and 2 defense versus the pass. You have 2 top 5 units against the run. I mean, I really like nothing here. I really don't. I mean, I can't even get behind Lamar. I mean, I just don't like anything. I'd rather go take shots in games with, better scoring scripts and environments. This is a slugfest divisional game that sometimes ends in 9-3, 6-9, and their defenses are tremendous. So I personally abstain.
Yeah, hard to argue there. Jerry, anything you dug up and you liked this week?
I mean, there's really nothing from this game that stands out to me from a fantasy perspective. I mean, Lamar's the highest priced quarterback on the slate. And I mean, even though he had one of his best fantasy outputs against Cleveland earlier this year, there's just so many better spots on the slate that I'd rather go to for quarterbacks. And I mean, in that game, he had 2 rushing touchdowns, and it's where Lamar's fantasy upside comes from. He's got to get those rushing touchdowns. We haven't seen that the last few weeks. It's the running backs that have been getting the goal line carries, and it kind of caps Lamar's upside when you're paying up for him. I mean, you can kind of cross his receivers off completely also. They have like almost 0 upside for me in this matchup. I guess you can kind of make a case for Mark Andrews, but at his price, he's going to need that ceiling game.
DraftKings says Cleveland's number 1 versus the tight end. I mean, it's like,
that's the thing. Like, you can always make a case for Andrews. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns against them earlier this year in the last matchup they had.
It's just tough.
But it's just not a slate where I want to be paying up for tight end. I mean, I won't fault anybody for going to him. If you could afford him, you could jam him in there. I mean, I don't know about this matchup with him. I'm probably not going to play him. And like with their running backs, I mean, Gus Edwards is like a touchdown or bust kind of play. I mean, it looks like they're starting to kind of use Keaton Mitchell a little bit, and they got Justice Hill. I mean, that kind of muddies the waters a little bit for me. I mean, especially at Gus Edwards' price. I mean, Keaton Mitchell popped up with a Q tag today. He's got some kind of hammy issue. So we kind of have to monitor that situation. But I don't know. For me, it's pretty much a cross off with Baltimore. And Cleveland, same thing, just cross them completely off. There's nobody on the Cleveland side that I would consider playing this weekend.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, the Ravens defense leads the league in sacks. Don't mind getting to them anytime you can afford them. And that Keaton Mitchell, Jerry, you hit on it. Not a guy that I'm going to play this week, but a guy I'm definitely going to keep an eye on. He looked extremely explosive, kind of like a Breece Hall.
Yeah, he's somebody you want to keep an eye on for like a showdown slate. Like he's somebody you would consider then.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, assuming he's healthy, no issues with that hammy, I think he kind of starts to take a few more of Justice Hill's touches away, as we close out the season as well. So, all right, we'll continue on to some better fantasy games. Let's go to the Texans visiting the Bengals. Bengals a 6.5-point favorite, 47-point total. Nico Collins ruled out already for the Texans. T. Higgins ruled out for the Bengals. Jamar Chase remains questionable. So obviously a lot to monitor in this one, but one of the higher total games of the week. Jerry, I'll start with you. Stroud coming off that monster. Can he repeat it here, or anything you like in this one?
I mean, this game is it's already interesting with Higgins and Collins out. It would become even more interesting if Chase was to miss. I mean, as of now, it looks like he's playing, but if he was to miss, it changes everything on the whole slate. But I mean, Burrow's been playing awesome the last few weeks. Texans defense doesn't look good at all. At home, I expect Cincy to put up some points here. There's a lot of pieces in this game I do like. You guys know who I love playing at home. I love Mixon at home. He's been running hot the last couple of weeks also. He's definitely going to be one of my favorite running backs to play on the slate. It's these home games against like a shitty Texans run defense. It's like these are the games where he gets 2 touchdowns, maybe sometimes 3 touchdowns. We saw it last year where he got, 4 or 5 touchdowns in a matchup similar to this. And he's probably going to be, I mean, everybody in this game is going to be pretty owned. And I think you're going to want some pieces of this game. He's definitely one of the pieces I do want. Chase, obviously, you want some of him. Then you have like those secondary pieces like Boyd and Irwin. Like, those guys are also in play and they're pretty cheap. You have a few tight ends they can choose from on the Cincy side, who all got targets last game. You got Irv Smith, you got Drew Sample, you got Tanner Hudson. Like Irv Smith and Drew Sample, they seem to be getting like the red zone targets, where Tanner Hudson seems to be getting most of the targets outside of the red zone. I think he's the one I would go to. He's pretty cheap on FanDuel. He's like 4,200. I mean, it's just there. I think all of those receivers are in play for the Bengals. On the Texans side, I don't think I'm going back to Stroud this week. I think the Bengals are a much better defense than the Bucs are. There's better quarterbacks, I think, on the slate that I like to use. The running backs for the Texans, forget it. I'm not using Singletary. They just haven't been able to run the ball. They don't look like they're going to either. It's one of the receivers for me. It's one of the receivers or Dalton Schultz. I think my favorite play on the Texan side would probably be Tank Dell. I think he's probably the one I would go to over Schultz.
That makes sense. Mike, how about you?
I actually have an interesting theory on this game too. I mean, I obviously like Schultz. I like Tank Dell, the regulars and everything that we just talked about. But if there's ever a week to play a naked Joe Burrow, this would be the week. Even with his full cadre, if you will, of receivers and pass catchers last week, somebody just mentioned it. I mean, he passed it out. He's throwing to third string tight ends, guy off the bench, water boy, everybody but fucking Chase, who had the over reception prop on, right? And we found out, he hurt his back in that game. Even though he's listed as, questionable or will play, I still wouldn't trust him. I mean, he didn't look right once he landed on his back. He might be forced to come back with Higgins out. I think you could narrow down the target tree a little bit to Boyd as like the last man standing as like a true starting receiver. So it's either naked Burrow, maybe a Burrow and Boyd. And on the other end, I mean, Stroud is priced up after that big week. Maybe people might want to be off him, just like Jerry said. So it might take a shot maybe again on him and Dell, maybe even a him, Dell, and Schultz double stack. Again, narrowed down targets.
Yeah, more lotto tickets, Mike. I like it. More lotto tickets.
That was mock last week. I did 3 teams. One was Love and the backers sucked. One was Mac Jones. Henry, I was on with you guys. And the other was Stroud, and it clicked.
There you go.
Scratch-offs, baby.
That's right. Eventually, there's always a winner in that roll of scratch-offs, right? Yeah, for me in this one, Joe Mixon's my favorite play in this game. I've kind of talked about running backs this year. Like Josh Jacobs, I've been fading all year. Kind of burned me last week, but for the first 8 weeks of the season, he's been 20+% owned every week, and he's kind of flopped, hasn't looked good. Where Mixon's kind of turned the corner for me. He's running harder, looks a little bit more explosive, getting bigger chunk plays. I really like him in this matchup at home at 6,200. And then I prefer to go to the tight ends that you touched on, Jerry. Tanner Hudson's the guy I had my eye on at 2,500 this week. If I'm absolutely punting tight end, because it's going to be tough. Like Mike alluded to, who do you pair Burrow with? Is it a banged up Chase? Is it really Tyler Boyd? Like I'd prefer him when he's got the 2 studs around him and he can just kind of operate the middle of the field with a little less attention on him. Trenton Irwin's going to be out there a ton, but he's not a very skilled player, but he is 3K. So I prefer the punt tight end. And then on the Texans side, no issue with a Tank Dell, Noah Brown. I actually lean a little bit more towards Noah Brown in the savings at 3,700. Has continued to look really good in his role, and I expect Tank Dell to get a majority of the attention this week, coming off just another fantastic game. So I lean a little bit more of the Noah Brown, like Schultz.
I called him Nico earlier. I just caught that when you said Noah, and you guys didn't correct me.
What did you say? I
just called him Nico Brown, and you guys let me go. You didn't even correct me.
When Tommy gets on, we'll start correcting you. We'll let him do that.
I don't know why I kept saying Nico. That's great.
Mike, you fucking idiot. His name is Nico now.
I'm in the waiting room. Wait to come in here and correct me.
Fucking pronounce his name right, Mike.
Hold on. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Schultz for me, again, good, not a terrible spot, but tight end. I'm trying to take my savings there. There's so many that are sub 4K this week that I'll likely not get to Schultz, especially since I'm not running Stroud out in my quarterback pool as it stands. Anything else in this game, guys?
What do you think about Singletary?
Fuck him.
That's all I need to hear.
That running game is a mess too. How many times can we go back to that well? I mean,
I don't want to go back there, but he's so cheap. I was just wondering what your thoughts were on him.
Just play Joe Mixon.
Mixon by far is my favorite play in this game.
You love Mixon.
I love him. Mixon at home.
Even got Healy to like him now too.
Healy likes him.
That's right. I'm convinced. I'm riding with Jerry.
Let's roll.
All right, let's continue on. Next up, we have the Titans and the Buccaneers. Our third 38.5-point total. Bucks just a small 1.5-point home favorite in this one. Despite the low total, this is a game that I actually don't mind for some fantasy pieces this week. Mike, I'll start it with you. Are you a Will Levis believer?
I don't know. Undecided. I mean, he's definitely better than Desmond Ridder. We'll start with that. That'll be our starting point. But I like him. He's a gamer, right? I like that aspect about him. He did the one thing that seems so sensible to guys like us that aren't coaching the team, but we're on our couch and we could coach the team and we're smarter than Matt Eberflus, right? Like there's some calls that you're just like, what the fuck? I always say when these kids like Aiden O'Connell comes in, you got Devontae Adams. This kid Levis comes in, just throw it to the best fucking player. I mean, you're a kid on a schoolyard, how
hard is it to fucking throw it up there?
Every play is designed for your best player, right? Like on a schoolyard. It's the same thing. I mean, throw it to him. At least he came in and recognized, let me throw the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, so I respect him for that, Healy. That's a good starting point.
Yeah. And then are you looking at any Titans here? Are you looking at Hopkins being that number one guy for him?
You could pass on the Bucs, and you know how I feel. I always never like to take a running back against the Bucs. I even feel that they perform better than their paper statistics, right? They're hard to run against and get into a flow. They'll either stop you early or whatever it is. At the end of the day on paper, I don't think it reflects how good they are versus to run with that scheme. So, yeah, I do like Hopkins. He's my number one rated receiver in this game ahead of Godwin and Evans. However, I also love the Tampa side. I think is pretty cheap with Baker Mayfield, even as a pure dart toss, but you got Godwin and Evans. You think you could pass against both of these teams here. So Hopkins, Godwin, and Evans, I like the three receivers. And I like me some Rashid White. I mean, his volume is just ticked up so much. I don't think his price.
His name is Rashad, Mike. His name is Rashad.
I know. I mean, come on. Nico Brown.
It's fucking Rashad, you idiot. It's fucking Rashad.
You know how hard I struggle with the UFC names with all these, Dagestanis and Eastern European. I mean, some of them are very hard. They have silent Z's. You can correct me.
No, I'm feeling Tommy's role until he gets here.
He did say Rashad. I mean, I call him Rashid. Rashid, right? That's what I
say. Jerry, is this going to be last week's Patriots, a game that I love that just fizzles out, or are you high on this one as well?
No, I'm pretty high on this one. I mean, he touched on it. I think DeAndre Hopkins, he's just a different receiver now with Levis under center. I mean, we saw what the Texans did to this Tampa Bay secondary last week. I think we can go right back to attacking them again this week. I mean, it looks like those Tampa Bay corners, Dean and Davis, they didn't practice this week, and there's a chance that Dean misses with a concussion, so it just weakens their secondary even more. You know who I love using the most in this game? I love my boy Chigakonkwu.
Oh, God, stop him. This year's
love
Jawan Johnson. I don't even want to hear his name. The one week I listened to you on that guy, I didn't even see the field. I'm done with it.
This week he's going to see plenty of he saw plenty of the field last week. I mean,
I may do a side bet.
If you watched the game last week, he played on 70% of Tennessee's offensive snaps. And on that last drive, they targeted him like 3 or 4 times. So he's going to see targets in this game.
I'm just not lighting my money on fire with him ever again.
I'm lighting it right on fire with him. I love me some.
I'll go with you a Mixon, but this one we may have a side bet on.
Yeah, I'm going right back to Chig here. I think you can do a little stack with Levis, Hopkins, and Chig. I mean, that's something you could definitely start a little core build with and then build around that. Also, like with Treylon Burks missing, I think Chig he's going to get more opportunities here. For Tampa Bay, for me, I think it's Rashad White. Like Tennessee used to be like a pass funnel defense. It seems like they're focusing more on stopping the pass and less on the run now. I think Rashad White is probably my favorite play from Tampa Bay. I don't know if I'm going to go to any of these receivers. It's Rashad White for me.
I like it. I like him.
Yeah, I mean, Rashad's volume in the passing game is just, phenomenal. Like you mentioned, 17 receptions the last 3 weeks. Just catching all the dump offs, obviously getting the bell cow work out of the backfield as well. So certainly my favorite piece on the Buccaneers side. I will be running some Will Levis stacks this week, so I'll probably have.
There? You're gonna use Chig?
Oh, for sure, definitely using Chig at 3K this week.
You guys are tickling each other with that feather again.
Watch.
Yeah.
Mike's gonna play some Chig too. He loves him some Chig.
I'm sure I will, because I don't want to be the guy that didn't have him. And
you're gonna be getting Chiggy. You're gonna get Chiggy with it.
Prescott lineups last weekend.
We're gonna get Chiggy with it.
Yeah, and if you're building any like double stacks, Hopkins is the key, the primary guy, either doubling with Chig or Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Like he's going to be the number 2. Expect him to go out there and play like 80% of the snaps for 3.4K. Again, a guy that I'll probably just use in Levis builds, not necessarily use him as a standalone value piece. And the other run back I have some interest in is just Mike Evans. So considering I'm running a lot of these Levis builds, the Titans, though, they are shifting a little bit more towards the pass defense. They still serve as a pass funnel, 6th most receiving yards allowed to opposing number 1s. So don't mind getting to some Mike Evans after.
Did you guys see that pass that Mike Evans caught last week? It was like a 60-yard bomb. They dropped him on the 1.
Yep.
I fucking had him in one of my lineups, and then they gave it to Rachaad White.
Yeah, I had him in my Shroud build. Freaking gets down to the 1-yard line. Would have helped.
Definitely.
But yeah, so he's a guy that if I'm stacking up opposing quarterback, I'm going to have some Mike Evans in some of those run backs as well. But Rachaad White, certainly the preferred option here. Didn't hear anyone mention Cade Otton. Any interest there, guys? 3,400, just a tight end that continues to play, pretty much all the downs.
I mean, he is, but I don't tend to play tight ends against Tennessee. I don't remember why. My note in my head, I'm looking on DraftKings now. What do they even rank that? A good ranking? In 3rd. Yeah, Tennessee's tough versus the tight end. That's just like one of my things in my head, but he is getting the volume.
I don't know. I don't like going back to tight ends after like a ceiling week. I just, too much variance with them.
That's why we're going to Chig after 37 unsuccessful weeks. This is it.
I'd much rather White at 5,800, and I definitely don't want these guys, on one lineup per se. So or if I'm playing like a 3 max, I mean, how many bucks do I really want? But at White at 5,800 for the volume he's getting, and he's the lead back to Jerry's point, or whoever said that, and just an insane amount of targets in the passing game, and he's just a reliable guy for Baker Mayfield. So I can't get to him because of that.
As long as you're going to get some Chig, Mike, then we're on board.
We're good this week. As of right now, out of those 3 losers, my favorite is Musgrove. Thus far.
It's Musgrave. It's Musgrave.
No, it's not. It's Musgrove. Don't martyr, Mike. Don't martyr.
Fucking Musgrave, Mike.
That's right.
We all should have dressed up as Tommy for Halloween. We really missed that.
Oh, if we knew more in advance. If we knew more in advance, he wasn't showing up.
Johnny misses him. You're like a beaten woman.
I know. All right, 2 more 1 p.m. games to get to here. Let's start off with the Saints visiting the Vikings, 40.5 point total. Saints a 3-point home favorite here. Minnesota feels like they found their savior. And Josh Dobbs kind of coming in, saving the day, winning the game for them.
That guy is, huh?
Yeah, Minnesota's won 4 in a row now. And then are looming to get Justin Jefferson back soon. Not expecting him. He is practicing on a limited basis, but should be back fairly soon. And then on the Saints side, I mean, Derek Carr's listed as the starting quarterback, but Mr. Taysom Hill's kind of been the guy doing it all. He's the running back, he's the receiver, he's their quarterback. Like he's the 5-tool player. Mike, I'll start it with you. Any interest in this game from fantasy this week?
I like Madison. I mean, Addison, rather. I'm sorry, Addison. He stepped into that, that role, Justin Jefferson role, and he was just getting, tons of targets and whatnot with Cousins. But Dobbs knows how to get his receivers the ball. He had Hollywood Brown. He loves to run, Dobbs. I mean, you can never count that out. But I think Addison is the play for me here, number one. And on the Saints side, I think it's a buy low spot and pay a lot of money for Kamara, where I think that he's going to be low owned. And I don't really do the percentage game, but Healy, I'd love to hear it from your end. But at 8,300 in a week where you can get a bunch of like lower price running backs, I just don't think he's going to be owned a lot. And I think it's a decent bounce back spot, familiar opponent, dome game. I just think that he could be a low owned GPP leverage play. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, tough spot for me to get to Alvin Kamara after seeing how they use Taysom Hill.
I'm being polite. I'm letting you go.
Oh my God, there he is.
Finish your statement.
Yeah.
Tommy, did you hear my impression of you?
No, I haven't been watching. I've been on a phone call.
I've been impersonating you this whole time.
Did you do good? Did you yell at Mike?
He's just yelling at Mike.
Yeah, see that? Also, you guys didn't notice what he just did when he walked in. My impression when he went, with the fingers, and that's what I was doing. And he just did it. His first.
Did you guys please go Mike first a couple times?
Every time Mike mispronounced the name, I would yell, "It's fucking Musgrave, Musgrove."
And let me call Noah Brown, Nico Brown.
The funniest thing about it, Jerry, is he gets mad at me when I correct his names, like I'm picking on him. Meanwhile, there's someone watching this for the first time going, "I'm not listening to you." So I'm protecting him. Like, you can't say Rashid White every week.
Oh, my God. He was listening. There's no way he just did it. You weren't listening, you jerk.
You did it again?
You were listening.
We just got on that game.
Tommy was like, do I come on or not? They're doing a good job. Let him go.
Listening.
He was listening. You were listening.
Mike, you said Rashid White.
Your eyes. I know you're a peeping Tom.
On my mother, I was not listening to the show. If you said Rashid White and I heard it, I would have jumped in and screamed at you.
I said Rashid White.
You say it every week. Why?
I don't know.
Oh my God!
I guess the reason Trevor puts S's
from the beginning.
All right. Why you want real plays instead of the shit you guys are giving out?
We just want
stacks. What are you guys giving out?
Oh, we just want to hear you correct Mike.
You again?
What? They want you. Do you need another Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb to fucking carry you guys through the week, or what?
I need another bet.
I mean, how about that fucking call, huh?
Give me another bet.
Dude, did you see the Charleston game, by the way? And then we'll get back to the show. Charleston was down 17. We hit them plus 10.5. They got the lead by the half, went up 9, and lost by 20.
College basketball finest.
The best player on the other team fouled out. What? When you're down 17, you come all the way back, go up 9, you don't lose by 20. That's never happened in the history of sports. But
that's wild.
That's right. I think I'm going to win the other fucking 4 bets, too. We're winning the other fucking 4 bets. But that was the max. So, what game we on?
We are on the New Orleans Saints at Minnesota Vikings, and Mike just highlighted a potential interest in spending up for Kamara to be contrarian this week. So, Mike, I was just looked up his ownership. So, it's 5% at most. So, certainly will be contrarian. Just a tough spot for me to pay for. Just given the taste on Hill. I get it. Yeah.
Process, like a lot of people, rightfully so, will be thinking like that, right? And I just think off a down week, I mean, again, I'm not touting it or saying I like them. I'm just saying situationally for that leverage at Kamara at 5% off a down week, I think, he could light it up. That's the only reason, but yeah.
Plus it's a dome game. That's
I like that. I'm shocked he's only going to be 5.
And Minnesota doesn't defend the receptions against running back.
The problem with him is his price.
Yeah, his price is high.
It's tough to get to any of these Saints anymore with Taysom Hill getting so much more involved in the offense. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to cap Derek Carr's upside. He's going to cap Kamara's upside. All these touchdowns that he's vulturing. The only players you can kind of really go to from the Saints that I can see myself going to is probably like Olave or Shaheed. Olave, he's still going to get some of the targets. Rashid, all he needs is a big bomb. Plus, it's indoors. I like that a lot. Nobody's going to be on Rashid Shaheed this week. I'm definitely somebody you want to use in tournaments.
Rashid Shaheed's the same player every single week. If he just gets the touches, he could break the slate. It's just
he needs 2 catches.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the matchup. It doesn't matter anything. He just
250-yard bombs and one of them to the house. That's it.
Yeah, or they're going to get him the fucking ball. Keep in mind, guys. Jefferson may be back.
He's not coming back this week.
He's questionable. He may be back this week. He may be back.
Yeah,
that's that. Yeah.
On the Vikings side, I mean, they're banged up as hell. They might not be without Jefferson. Akers is out. Osborne and Hawkinson are both banged up. I think you're going to probably see a heavy dose of Madison here.
Addison too, baby. Let's go.
Alexander Madison.
Do
Yeah,
you
I
like
mean,
Madison, Jerry, at 5,500?
I have interest in him for sure. He's going to see just a ton of usage in this game. If the game stays close, I mean, Madison is going to see a lot of usage.
I don't really like this matchup though. I'm not.
I mean, they're at home. If this was on the road,
Yeah,
it's
it
different.
doesn't
At
matter,
home, it's
dude,
another
though.
thing.
The guy's averaging 2.5 yards a carry this year, and he's going against a top 3 run D. I don't know if this is the spot. I mean, his price is there. I just don't know if is he going to be owned. He's probably going to be what everyone with Akers being all right.
No, I don't think so.
He's going to carry some ownership for sure.
I just worry about that matchup. I don't know if he can do enough in the passing game. I don't know. That's 5,500 is tempting. I don't know, but you guys don't think Jefferson's coming back? I think he's actually going to play this week.
I don't think.
I mean, I don't believe so. My lean would be he doesn't, but obviously we'll.
I'm not saying it to play Jefferson. I'm saying it more, to how it's going to affect the other players in the game, the Addisons, people like that. I think Brandon Powell is a decent little play if we see no Jefferson in this spot. You're probably going to see, he's not going to be the guy being shadowed, right? So he's going to be off that. And that's the reason I liked Mooney last week, right? Like whenever you're looking at the Saints, one of the big things you have to look at is who's the main receiver. They're going to be locked down by Lattimore, and your other guy's going against a fucking complete bag of shit. So I said Mooney last week. I loved him as the cheapest play on the board. I think he went 5 for 82. I think that's Brandon Powell this week. I really do.
I think Madison sees a lot of dump offs.
He could, yeah. I mean, he could, but Powell at 3,200 down there. That's this week's Mooney. I think he's 5 for 60. Somewhere now. I don't think that's out of the scope. He's done that before, and New Orleans is the perfect team to play a cheap number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't mind that. That would be. I mean, I don't have much interest in this game at all. I think Dobbs, the hype train after last week's going to kind of come crashing down to earth, and I think they're going to struggle to put up points this week. Personally, so
yeah, I think the total reflects what the game is going to be like too. It's a 40 total.
I actually kind of like Dobbs this week.
I don't like him.
I think, dude. I mean, listen. I think we saw what he was capable of at the beginning of the year with Arizona. That team's dog shit, dude. There's nothing over there. I know that if Jefferson plays, even if it's in a limited capacity, I like Dobbs. You can't run on New Orleans, dude. They're a pass funnel. You can't run on.
I saw it very early with Dobbs, Tommy. Very early.
Yeah.
And you mocked me.
Yeah.
No, I mocked you for everything.
We could go back to weeks 1 through.
New Orleans
4.
defense is a little different than Atlanta defense.
I like what he said if Jefferson's back, though, because you're right. I mean, he hasn't had any of these fucking weapons.
No, and the guy's going to rush for 70 yards a game on Minnesota. They used him completely wrong over there in Arizona. He's got way better weapons over here. He's got a running game. He's got a defense. Dude scored fucking 27 points last week, 25 the week before that. 7 for 66. He's got 47, 43, 26, 66 rushing yards, touchdowns in 3 straight games on the ground. You're going to give him Justin Jefferson, Madison, and a pass funnel defense. He may be my main lineup quarterback if Jefferson plays.
There you go.
Anything else on this game?
Nope.
All right, let's move over to Green Bay Pitt. Injury status on this. You did this one?
Yeah, we have 49ers Jags the last 1 p.m.
So you just don't go in order. You just move all around.
That's right. I had to throw Mike off.
I persevered. I was ready.
If a breeze comes in and throws Mike off, and he's got to let everyone know that he's thrown off too.
There he goes, Jerry. There he goes, Jerry. There he goes.
San Fran, Jacksonville. Nothing really here from an injury standpoint. We got Debo back this week, pretty much fully healthy on both sides. What are you looking at here, Mike? What do you like in this game? Let's go right to you, Mike.
Thank you, Tommy. I like the San Francisco passing installation, Tommy. I like Ayuk and Kittle the most. I like the return of Debo. I like to pay up for McCaffrey. And I love all of the 49ers passing elements and Brock Purdy, baby, to pair him with about 5,700. So I'm going to double stack this with Purdy and 2 pass catchers. Or I may even go like McCaffrey and 1 pass catcher, most likely Ayuk. I like the spot for him. He rates very well against this defense. And I don't really love anything on the Jaguar side. I mean, Niners now, Chase Young too. I just think they can bring even more energy that the team wants to get better. You haven't looked good lately, San Fran. I just think that this is kind of a get right spot. Jacksonville looks just as bad as San Fran hit those, kinks on the road. I mean, Jacksonville just hasn't been clicking. So I just kind of like San Fran here to maul all through the air.
Healy?
I agree with the passing attack. However, I'm on Deebo Samuel as my priority pass catcher in this one. So Jaguars play zone defense at about a 70% rate. He thrives against zone defenses, where Ayuk has had his bigger games a lot against man coverage. So that led me a lot to Deebo. I like paying up to be contrarian a bit on Christian McCaffrey. Anytime we're going to get around a 10% own with TMC, has the ability, regardless of matchup, to really break the slate. So same kind of narrative that Mike was on with Alvin Kamara. I like those three guys a lot. I think Kittle in this game will be used a bit more as a blocker, kind of protect that left side for Purdy. So McCaffrey, Samuel, and I do have a little bit of interest in Purdy this week, but nothing for me on the Jaguars side.
Scarface.
I mean, McCaffrey is looking to set an NFL record this week if he scores a touchdown. 18 straight games with a touchdown. I think you can almost guarantee that he's scoring this week. And McCaffrey, it's the same thing every week. It's whether or not you could fit him into your lineup. And some of the builds that I've tried out with him, it's not hard to fit him in. And I mean, he could easily just go like nuclear in this game. I mean, they're coming off of a bye week. They're rested. I mean, Debo's back. I mean, it's got to be a jump start to this offense, and he's going to be the focal point of it. As far as the receivers go, I think Ayuk is my favorite one out of all these guys. With Debo back, it's going to kind of cut into Kittle's targets a little bit, so I'm kind of off of Kittle. I think Ayuk is the one that gets the targets here. On the Jacksonville side, we haven't seen that breakout game yet from Lawrence this year. I don't think we're going to see it in this matchup. But I mean, the Niners D did get stronger with Chase Young now coming from Washington, but I still think you're going to see targets going to Christian Kirk or Evan Ingram. I mean, those are, if you're going to run a game stack for this game, I think Kirk and Ingram would be a nice run back to that game stack. They're both going to see targets. I'm not going to go to Ridley. I'll always play Kirk over Ridley here.
You guys want the Dak Prescott play of this week? Not a BVP play. It's not a history play. Travis Etienne is 100% lock button play this week.
One of my least favorite plays on the slate.
Right. So look, this is more from a gambling perspective, right? So first of all, the 49ers defense has allowed pretty much a $105 to Arizona, a $160 to Cleveland, a $134 to Cincinnati. Minnesota really didn't have a running attack in that game, and Dallas Pollard's been a bag of shit. So Giants have no running games. Rams are shit. Pitt's terrible. So the few offenses that do have good running backs, saw Mixon go off last week against them, or the last time they played. So they haven't been that great against the run. This line is fucked, dude. The fact that this line is 3, you have San Fran coming from the furthest spot up north outside of Seattle, going to the furthest spot down east to Jacksonville in this game. That is, Mike knows, that's not good when you have that huge cross-country trip. The line looks trappy. I think this is a Jaguars line. I think this is a Jaguars game. And Travis Etienne is $2,200 less than McCaffrey and has been outperforming him substantially over that period of time.
I like the Jags here. I would definitely bet the Jags.
If the Jags are going to stay in this game, the only way they do it is Etienne. That's the only way they stay in this game. It's either going to be through the air. They're going to have to establish him on the ground. Etienne's last 4 games, 25.9, 22.7, 23.3, and 39.4. He has 6 touchdowns, and that's 7 touchdowns in that span. He's getting 6-7 targets a game. He's getting 20 carries a game. The only way they stay in this game is through Etienne. No one's going to be on him. And I think you're basically getting Christian McCaffrey at a $2,100 discount.
The thing with Etienne is his price and the guys that are priced around him. I mean, we haven't got to a couple of the guys yet, but we talked about Joe Mixon. We talked about Aaron Jones.
I don't want Mixon this week.
You don't like Mixon?
No, not if the whole receiving core is banged up. They're just going to stack the box.
Who's going to stack the box?
I know
the worst run defense in the league.
Listen, I get that they're a bad run defense.
The worst run defense in the league.
Not the worst run defense in the league.
The worst.
They're not the worst. They're bottom 12.
They're ranked the worst, 31st in the league.
They're not.
Tommy might like my call, then. Tommy, I went with a naked Burrow this week due to the wide receivers he spent off of. This would be the week to do it.
Listen, the bottom line is Joe Mixon sucks. Like that's the thing.
He can suck all he wants, but
he
against a shitty run D.
6,200. I mean, I'm taking ATN point per dollar over Mixon.
We're also going against this Niners defense.
If the Niners defense has given up 130 rushing yards 3 times in the last 5 weeks.
Mixon best in the NFL with yards per game.
Into the box.
Mixon will be fine. He'll get you 90 yards, maybe $110 and a touchdown, and if he's catching the ball more, which is good.
What's ETN's floor? What's ETN's floor?
18.
Floor? That's not
40.
You really think so?
40?
Yeah, ceiling's 40.
40?
Ceiling's 40. He did it against Buffalo. At Buffalo, that's his ceiling. He's already done it. He can't go 6 for 60 through the air and fucking 80 on the ground with 2 touchdowns. He does it every fucking week.
Yeah, but that's Buffalo, and Pittsburgh, and Indianapolis.
This defense is a little different. They got Chase Young.
Guys, you got to understand this defense is not like this. Isn't a superhero defense on the San Francisco 49ers. The defense has been beaten a bunch of times this year. They're not like locked down, shut down. Fucking Minnesota threw for 380 on them 2 weeks ago, and fucking Cincinnati just lit them the fuck on fire with 400. They've given up 400, 450, 334, 197, and 362 in the last 4 weeks. How is this like a fucking the Browns and the Jets? They're giving up fucking 400 yards on average.
But when you're coming off of a bye and you bring in somebody like Chase Young, it's different when you're coming off of a bye. This defense, it's a little bit more rested.
Why is the line 3?
They're on the road.
And Jags are 6-2. I mean,
so how the fuck are the Jags going to stay in the game? The total's 46.
Could be a
if we all think the game, guys, just use math. If we all think the game's going to stay close, and it's a 46 total, that means the final score is what, 25, 22, 21, something like that. How the fuck are the Jags going to get all those points and yards? If you're
talking about betting them, yeah, give me the points.
No. I'm saying you start with the betting. We all think the Jags are staying close. We think it should hit the total. How are they going to get 20, 25 points without ATN? He's their whole fucking offense.
This game could end up 24-23 and they cover.
Okay, and where are they getting all the touchdowns? Trevor Lawrence throwing for 3 touchdowns on the fucking Niners D?
I mean, they get into the red
zone.
For
3 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks combined.
Like, it's not impossible to imagine.
I'm just having listen. That's 7,100. I think that's cheap. I mean, I don't think that's expensive for a guy he's averaging 25 a week the last 4 weeks. But
he's projected to be about 24 to 25% owned ETN. So he's not going to go under the radar. Yeah,
he's going to be that highly owned.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, him and Pollard right there at 73.
What's he on FanDuel?
Holy shit.
Oh, what's his ownership on FanDuel?
Hold on, let me.
I mean, that's fucking insane. I thought I was getting him at like 4.
No, he's.
I mean, he's 25% owned. Obviously, a lot of people agree with me.
He's like 12% on FanDuel.
That's a lot higher than I thought of it. Jesus Christ! I didn't think anyone would play running back for Sonata.
You're not alone, Tommy.
Listen, I wish I was, but unfortunately, the world agrees with me and doesn't agree with you guys. Who's your favorite play from this game? Mine's ATN. Healy, who's yours?
Well, I mean, I'd be a sellout to say McCaffrey, so I'll go.
Yeah,
Deebo
outside
Samuel.
of McCaffrey. No.
Yeah, I like Deebo Samuel.
Mike.
I mean, I felt the same with McCaffrey, but in order to not say him, I like Ayuk, but Jerry might be talking me on to Deebo or maybe Healy said it, against the zone, because you're right about that.
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah,
like that. And he's cheaper, so I think maybe Deebo here now.
I like Ingram. Ingram's my favorite play.
Okay, all right. I don't hate Ingram in this spot. Let's move over Green Bay Pitt. I mean,
damn it, 4 p.m. window. 4 p.m. Go.
What?
We got
Falcons Cardinals.
Yeah.
I mean, what order did you go in?
We did the 1 p.m.s. Now we're on a 4 p.m.
Yeah, but what order? Where did you read it from?
The Delco rotation.
What order? Jesus.
I purposely threw Mike a curveball because I went to him first game and he was really flustered.
He's always flustered when you go to him first. He wants you to go to him first every time, and then every time he's never ready.
You guys see?
He's got like 3 games. 3 games that he go to. Yeah.
I know it's coming on his fingers.
Yeah.
They're always featured.
Yeah. Arizona, Atlanta. Healy. Who do you like? We should talk injuries. We should talk injuries, by the way. Obviously, Connor's out, as we know. DeMarcado's questionable. And then Matt
Kyler's
Collins.
back.
What's that? Is he back?
Kyler's back.
Kyler's back. And then Matt Collins, I believe, is out, right?
Yeah, James Conner and Kyler back.
I would like
for
to
the
know,
Arizona.
Connor's back. Connor's back too.
London's in, right? London's playing.
Wait, Connor's back.
Yep,
too?
London.
I missed
Yes,
that one.
Tommy.
I didn't know Connor was back. Okay.
Yeah,
Has
we
it
should
been
be getting
announced
Connor back,
or no?
Kyler back. I don't know if it's official, but everything, all signs were pointing to him being back.
All right. Well, let's pretend he is.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I mean, is Desmond Ridder out injured or is he out for performance?
I know he's out because the coach is an idiot because they took Heineke and put him in and lost to a fucking Vikings team without Cousins and Jefferson. If that was fucking Ridder, he'd be fucking hanging on a cross up there getting fucking stones thrown at him. Do we like Heineke this week?
I think he can go. I have him as the last guy in my quarterback pool this week at 5,100 against just a really, really poor Arizona secondary. And it's, primarily he's getting Drake London back. Certainly helps the matter this week. So, if I'm using Heineke, I like pairing him with London. Don't even mind a little bit of Kadero Hodge if you needed a double stack and a cheap piece at 3,400. Again, a piece that I wouldn't play by himself. I would only play in my Heineke lineups this week. And I think the big dilemmas here is Bijan Robinson down at 6K this week, but just not getting it done.
I mean, no. Mike told me that he only sucked because of Ridder.
I mean, he's
right?
getting the snaps, right? He's out
also,
snapping these guys.
I thought it was just because of Ridder.
Ridder just makes everybody bad around them.
Or
an Apple theory, but Arthur Smith is truly horrendous.
Okay, so Mike, we could stop fighting about this and join forces and say Arthur Smith destroyed.
Arthur Smith is terrible, but
destroyed Ridder and Bijan and Drake London. Arthur Smith.
I won't take on your Ridder baggage, but I'll agree with you that fucking Arthur Smith is a bum. He looks like a rat.
Arthur Smith destroyed Desmond Ridder.
Like a fat squirrel, he looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, Bijan, you can even. I mean, he's getting 5 targets a game, so you could even consider him to play him with Heineke. Not sure that'll fit in the constructions that I've been building with. I just prefer the straight pass catchers here. I mean, Bijan's going to continue to get ownership. I know people are going to continue to go back to him. As it stands right now, I prefer other running backs this week that are also popular that, in my other running back spots, I'm going to get a little bit different. So no Bijan for me. One in particular, I'm going to use a little bit of James Conner. So assuming he's back and in this week, the other backup running back in Arizona had multiple weeks to do anything, and they did nothing week over week over week. This will be James Conner's backfield as soon as he's back and ready, catching the ball, running the ball. I don't really care about the matchup. 5,900 at 3 to 4% owned this week. I like him as a contrarian running back.
All right, Scarface, we got.
Did you guys happen to see the Millie Maker winner last week? The lineup. You know who was on there?
The one that had, he had Bijan.
Wow.
I mean, that's how good that lineup was. It had Bijan. He had like 7 points or something. But anyway,
Stroud with 3 pass catchers.
Yeah, this has to be Bijan week. I mean, I think you have to play him. I mean, this matchup is just too good to pass on here. I mean, if he busts in this matchup, then just burn him. You'll never play him again. I mean, he's going to burn your bankroll if he doesn't get there this week, but I'm definitely going to play him this week. It's just too tough of a matchup and a price to pass on here. He's the only one from the Falcons side that I would even consider. On the Cards side, I mean, who the fuck knows what to expect from Kyler Murray? I don't know what to expect from him here. I'm not going to play him. I'm not going to play the running backs. I'm not going to play any of his receivers. McBride looks like he's going to be the highest owned tight end on the slate.
It should be, yeah.
And I mean, he's looking to be like 35% or something on DraftKings.
It gets tough at that point.
Yeah, I mean, when it gets into the 30s, I'm probably going to pass on that.
Especially at a position where you're getting single digits everywhere else.
Yeah, so I mean, for the most part, it's only Bijan for me in this game.
Mike, what do you like?
I do like Murray, and only for the fact is like what you just said about the running backs and everything. I mean, if Kyler Murray's back and he's on the field, you know he's going to run a little bit. We know who he's going to target. I mean, Hollywood Brown. I mean, he had one of the highest, reception targets, per player in the league last year, and it was due to Kyler Murray blanketing them with targets. So I like Kyler Murray and Brown here, and I'm building one of those lineups like I do every week. And right now I got Kyler Murray and Brown in there, Hollywood Brown. For 11,100 for the two of them, it opens up the McCaffrey for me at running back, Hopkins at receiver, and I even have in this build Kamara also with McCaffrey. So it opens up a lot. I like Murray and Brown there. He peppers him with targets.
Yeah, I was looking into that.
He's going to go to a safety blanket.
I like the targets. I just don't like the production. I mean,
he's also Hollywood. I mean, he could break a 70-yarder.
Yeah.
And when Murray's scrambling, that's the time to do it. Break coverage. And let him launch one. I wouldn't be shocked if Murray has a go-off game here.
Problem with it last year, he had 77 targets and he had one catch over 25 yards. So it's a Murray thing. Like it's just really tough. Murray just throws a terrible deep ball.
What would you say about the tight ends in this game?
McBride is just such a fucking lock. Even last week, I said he was a great play, and
I like him too. But man, that ownership.
The thing about I always look at it from a different perspective. Remember, I made the joke. I'm like, it's not like Tune's going to throw for 70 yards. He threw for 58. It was even worse than that. But I mean, McBride had 22 of them. So if you look, listen, I got CD, I got Mooney, I got Dak. I missed out McBride. But the bottom line is McBride had 40% of the passing yards, last week. It's just they only threw for 58.
But that's because it was Tune.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So with Murray there, I mean, Murray's someone who does like the tight end. We saw Ertz emerge a little bit last year for a minute. I think I'm going to fade Murray in DFS because there's too much question marks. I'm going to play his rushing over on a prop to cover myself because I do think he runs a lot, especially being a little bit rusty. Marquise Brown's fine. I don't think it's bad. I wish he was in the 4s instead of the 5s for a guy who's only hit double digits once in the last 5 weeks. I mean, really, the play in this game is McBride. I don't hate Bijan at 6, but I'm done. I'm done. So you're checking out after this week. I'm checked out after last week. I fucking quit. I quit on anything Arthur Smith. So I'm just pretty much almost full fade on this game, and I think Arizona wins the game. I do. So Connor with Healy would be the play that I would look at. That would be the guy that I would actually give some love to. Hopefully he's not on the snap count or anything, but ugly game. Let's move over to Chargers, Detroit. Detroit, another team traveling on the road. A little bit of a weird line here. Anything we like here, Mike?
I mean, Detroit's tough. And I heard, on Stay Cash and what you were saying that, you don't really believe in them. But, I mean, I do like them much better at home than I do on the road. But, I mean, Goff is a West Coast guy. He played out there. And Chargers, they don't really stop the pass. So I'm not going to get to Goff, but I do like, St. Brown a lot. I mean, he looks healthy for the first time in a while from what I'm seeing. I mean, maybe hopefully the price even at 8,300 with some recency bias might take some people off him. But I think this is a great spot against the Chargers, for St. Brown. And then also Laporta. I mean, it's somebody we've both been on all year long. I like him. I like his targets. I like him versus the Chargers. Chargers don't defend well against the tight end. So on the Lions side for me, especially now with Montgomery coming back and, pick a running back, I'd rather just take all those passing targets, yards, and hopefully touchdowns from the Sun God and Laporta.
Haley?
Yeah, I'm with Mike here, except I do have a little bit of interest in Jared Goff. Again, I know his home road splits pretty well. This isn't going to a cold environment or anything like that, so I don't mind it. I think they're going to find success moving the ball and through the air. The Chargers give it up via pass catchers and pass catching running backs. So I think this is a good spot here for Goff. If you're going to spend a little bit more at quarterback, I don't mind him 6,400. St. Brown, Laporta, the kind of the clear pairings here. I think the running backs, you'd have to reserve them for tournaments only because no one really knows how they're going to split this up. Like Montgomery was phenomenal before he went down with injury. Then Gibbs played extremely well while he was out. Maybe it's 50-50. I think Montgomery's certainly going to be the guy that gets the goal line work. But Gibbs's skill set is to catch the ball out of the backfield, and that's where I want to attack this Chargers team. So he would be the guy I lean to. But $7K for both these guys is a tough price tag to swallow with the uncertainty. In terms of the Chargers, not a spot I want to pay $8,800 for Keenan Allen this week. The Lions,
it's a haul.
Yeah, Lions do extremely well taking away your first look, your option one. Defensively, it's a scheme they've kind of drawn up, then it has kind of come out this year. So we know Allen's always the first look for Herbert. So I think you can take some shots on some secondary guys, whether it's Eckler as a run back or even a Quentin Johnson who got a ton of snaps, is still working back from his injury. But at 4,100, don't mind taking some shots if you wanted to run back any golf stacks this week.
Jerry, I don't understand what the fuck they're doing with Keenan Allen's price. I mean, literally the guy was, in the 7s to start the year. He started doing really well, scored 21 points in week 6. He scored 9, 14, and 15 in the last 3 weeks. He's going against one of the better defenses in the NFL, and they have him up at 8,800. Why does he keep going up as he's underproducing?
They're factoring in the injuries to the wide receiver, to Mike Williams. They know
Mike Williams been out for how long?
At any cheaper price, Keenan Allen
was out last week too, so that kind of
they're not going to price him down as long as Mike Williams is out, because any cheaper, he's just going to be, who knows how owned he will be on.
I just can't pay 8,800.
But I'm with you guys. Goff and the passing attack here. I love the passing attack with Goff. Amon-Ra is one of my favorite plays on the slate. Definitely going to have a lot of him. Laporta, that's a nice little stack right there. Keenan Allen, I would love to play him on the other side, but his price is tough. It's tough to get to him. It's tough to put him and Amon-Ra in the same lineup. He's got to have just a monster ceiling game to pay off that price. The running backs in this game, I'm not going to pay that price for Eckler either here. Monty back, Gibbs splitting carries. I'm not going to try to guess who's going to get the production. I'm pretty much out on everybody except the Goff, Amon-Ra, Laporta stack.
Yeah, I mean, the Amon-Ra, I was the president of the fan club 2 years ago. This guy's just fucking, he's just 9 for 106 every week. And
the Chargers just get worked.
The Chargers worked. The plate, it's just, again, 8,300. That's a haul. Like Healy said, once you put Montgomery back on that offense, you got a lot of options for Goff there. With Laporta, Amon-Ra, Montgomery, Gibbs. It's just the pricing on these guys and the receivers are tough. So I'm not going anywhere in the running back situation because I think Gibbs is the better back, but Montgomery's been the bell cow, so you have no fucking idea what's going on there. They should be able to throw all over this fucking team. But for me, it's Laporta with a bullet. I mean, after what you guys I was coming into this saying McBride. The second you tell me McBride's going to hit maybe 40% owned, all in Laporta. If you're going to go against the McBride lineups, it's my favorite GPP strategy, and the thing that made me the most money throughout my history as a DFS player was always to pay up against cheap chalk. Don't try to find other cheap chalk, because now you have a worse 3,500 player competing with a better 35. Pay the fuck up, right? So that way, even if McBride goes 5 for 50, I know I can get 8 for 90 and a tutty from fucking Laporta. I want to win that position if I'm going off the chalk. So Laporta at 5,700, it's 2,200 more than McBride. But if you're telling me half the lineups are going to have McBride, totally comfortable going Laporta and McBride in that spot. So Laporta, my favorite play. Love Amon. You can get to Keenan Allen, I guess, if you want to pay $9K. But I may just have Laporta out of this game, even though I think there's a lot of really good options. What about Herbert, guys? We haven't talked about Herbert at all in this one. I know, obviously, we're not looking to pay $7,700 for a quarterback that doesn't run, but you really can't run on the Lions, right? So he's going to have to be spreading the ball over the field.
The thing with Herbert is, what's his ceiling?
He should be 67. He should be 71, 67. He shouldn't be 77.
Exactly.
We haven't seen that ceiling game from him.
If we're gonna though, this is kind of the spot, right?
The Lions are they're decent.
I know, but the beauty of it is it's a complete pass funnel that can score, right? Like we know the Lions are going to put up points. We know they're going to score, and the line is tight. Lions are traveling. I think this is the 303 game for Herbert we've been waiting for.
I mean, my concern is Eckler is so good, at the goal line, and when he gets like inside the 5. Yes, he can catch him. But he's very good. He's just that shifty guy that finds a little hole and scores.
He's a bowling ball, dude. He's a bowling ball. He can't tackle him. He's a round fucking. He's like he has oil on him.
Yeah, so they don't have to necessarily be able to run the ball, but if he goes, 350 and 2, and he doesn't rush, he's still probably not getting there at 7,700 for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. That's what I said. If he was like 69,
too much. It's too much for him.
Yeah, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to play his prop. This is one of those situations. I like him this week. I think he's going to go off and play his prop instead. Let's move over to Giants Dallas. Fucking 17.5. This line is fucking maniacal. I mean, everyone's going to be on Pollard. It's nice. I can't play Pollard no matter what the fuck the situation is. I just can't. What are we doing? Jerry, start with you. I'm done. There's certain. I'm just done. I'd rather lose to Pollard than play Pollard again. I'd rather lose to Bijan than play Bijan again.
All the guys that I was done with, I'm playing them all.
No, yeah, that's you can't, right? Like you can't, right? Like that's what my famous line. Don't.
That would Bijan. That would make.
I get it.
Them all.
But listen, you know better, Jerry. You're done with this. They've been in good matchups before, right? Like that's the thing. When you're done with a guy,
I'll make a case. Let me make a case for him here. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna make a counter case for you.
First of all, it's going to be a thrashing. This is not going to be a competitive game. But I think even in a non-competitive game, these Cowboys, they're going to get there. In 3 quarters of work, they're going to get there. I mean, we just cross off anybody from the Giants. We're not playing anybody from the Giants. Okay, they're all just unplayable.
Maybe Wanda Robinson.
I mean,
maybe
with Danny DeVito.
Yeah, no, I'm not playing anyone. Fuck Danny DeVito.
Anyway,
New Jersey's own. Maybe
this is Pollard's breakout game. We haven't seen shit from him this year. The last time he had a good game was against these Giants in
first
week
of the year.
Yeah, but here they're going to have such good field position throughout this game. The field's going to be so short for them. The Giants defense is going to give up at some point. I mean, they might. I can see the Cowboys hanging 40 by the third. I don't see how this game stays close by any means. He might even be pretty close to lock button for me in all my lineups.
He's going to be so.
I don't even care about his
ownership. Has to be 40%.
I don't care what his ownership is going to be. I can't.
Dude,
I can't pass.
No way.
I cannot pass on him in this match.
Jerry, don't do it, dude. You can't go eat.
I'm telling you right now.
Listen,
he might be lock button for me. There's no way. I cannot picture a scenario where he doesn't get 25 fantasy points.
Dude, he's 7,300. He needs to score 21 just to fucking basically make you feel good about your life. The guy's fucking rushing prop is 69 this week. I mean, even Vegas is
it's because he's been shit this year. But this matchup, you tell me, how are the Giants?
I know. I'm with it. Dude, listen, there's nothing you're saying that I disagree with. Nothing. There's absolutely, listen, if you woke me up in week 10 from a fucking 9-week slumber and said, hey, Tommy, you can get fucking Pollard at 7,300 versus the Giants as an 18-point favorite, I'd be like 100%. I don't care if he's 98% on. He sucks, dude. He sucks. He's bad, dude. I mean, we're talking, this guy sucks. And if his prop was 90 or something, his prop is 60.
I'm with you.
Here's the thing. You have an easy out, Jared. You have an easy out. You're probably going to play 10 grand Sunday, right? Just go throw 5 grand on the Pollard prop. Go put 5 grand on the 69.5. Fucking, if he goes off to 70, 80, 90, you're going to win fucking half your entry fees there. And you don't have to worry about eating 50% shit chalk. It's 69.5 is his prop, Jerry. If you love him this week, how do you not fucking slam that?
I mean, he might get there at halftime.
So just bet that. That's what I'm saying. Just bet that. Just take a fucking load and just dump it on that. And then you don't have to play 40% shit back.
Jerry's going to double down. He's going to do both.
Yeah, he probably is.
I'm not, there's no way in hell I'm fading Pollard here. And I mean, the same thing goes with Dak. He's fully in play also. The Dallas passing attack, I mean, just pick a receiver. I mean, the Giants are not going to be able to stop them on any drive. There's no way. I don't see how they're going to stop him.
Is he even going to be playing in the fourth quarter?
They're going to be.
I mean, you can't go pay 6,700 for Dak if he's not going to play the fourth quarter.
What's the OU on this game is what? What's the OU on this game? 40?
39.5.
39.5. I think that's all Cowboys.
It could be. Yeah. But it's probably 2 defensive touchdowns, too. The best play in this game is Cowboys defense.
as long as the defense doesn't score touchdowns, the offense is going to
They're
score.
gonna definitely score a touchdown. The Cowboys have never.
They're going to turn the ball over for sure. They're going to create turnovers. That's what I'm talking about. They're going to be working with such short field that there's no way Dallas doesn't score. There's no way.
Let me show you, and then I'll kick to you here, Haley. The Jets game was the one game where it was kind of like weird and fluky, like a bunch of weird shit happened. But if Dallas wins big, it's always the defense. Always. They beat the Giants 40-0. The defense scored 2 touchdowns. They beat the Patriots 38-3. The defense scored 2 touchdowns. They beat the fucking Rams by 30. The defense scored a touchdown and dropped 15.
That's what I'm saying.
37, 27, and 15.
Let's just say those turnovers don't.
They will. They will. This defense feasts on bad teams. Like, that's the play. Play the Cowboys defense. If you want to pair it with Pollard, do it.
Would you feel more comfortable paying $5,200 or whatever it is for the Cowboys defense, or paying Pollard's price?
Not even close, Cowboys. Not even close.
Cowboys defense is $4,400.
Right, and they're going to be fucking 8% owned because no one's going to pay that price. And I'm going to have a defense that could literally.
No, they're projected like 25%.
The projections on high-priced defenses never pan out. You know that.
This one's different. This one is way different.
Everyone saw the Browns do it last week.
That's the thing.
That's what I said last week. Remember last week? I was like, guys, just play the Browns. Don't even think. Just play the Browns. The week before, just play the Ravens. Don't think.
On FanDuel.
Listen, if I tell you, you
can projected 25% there too.
So listen, here's their 3 blowout games this year. They scored 15, 27, and 37 in the 3 games that they won by 20 or more. If I tell you you're getting a player for $4,400 that is averaging 27 points a game in this scenario that we're supposed to see this week, you'd put him in 150% of your lineups. But just because it's a defense, no, this isn't a defense, dude. This defense stalks. They're going to walk out of this game with fucking. The last time they played the Giants, they had 7 sacks.
I'm with you.
2 touchdowns.
Man. They're going to sack them. They're going to get turnovers. But I'm just saying, in a scenario where those turnovers don't result in touchdowns, the offense is getting all those touchdowns, and they're going to be on the field.
But dude, Pollard's fucking 7,300. They're 4,400.
I know.
You can't compare the two. Listen, you can do both, right? If you're playing Pollard, play Pollard and the Dallas D.
Pollard and the Dallas D. But you can also, let's just say you don't play Dallas D. You can play Dak, Pollard, and a receiver. That's an easy stack to get to. That's going to be one of the chalkier stacks, I think, too.
Yeah, the defense is the best play in this game by far. It's not even close because there's such a high leverage. Healy, I don't check in here. There's such variance at defense, right? Like, you literally could be going against a guy with the same lineup as you, and you're 2 for 2, and if your defense scores 20, you obliterate him every time, right?
Oh,
so
yeah, 100%.
You're looking at a situation where when you look at the guys that won the Millie Maker, I know you talked about the guy that won the Millie Maker. If you still have that lineup up, Jerry, that had the Falcon, had Bijan or some shit score, I guarantee you had Cleveland D. Like, every time you look at the top team, the week before, I cashed every line.
Cleveland D was.
If Dallas defense scores 20. Which they should. They're going to get 5 or 6 sacks. They're going to get a pick or 2, probably recover a fumble, probably let up 4 points, 5 points, and fucking score. You're going to have him to win. You're not going to have Pollard, even if he goes for 30. I can go get 30 out of ATN at the same price. You're going to have Dallas D, though. You have to put Dallas D in your lineup on every lineup, put it in and work from there. And then you can go.
If you were making 10 lineups, you would fade Pollard in all of them?
No, you got to have some exposure. I mean, obviously, you got to, in case he fucking scores 3 touchdowns and whatever. But, I mean, I would go Pollard versus fucking ATN all day. I take ATN all day in that. Like,
no.
Pollard sucks.
Give me Pollard, man.
All right, Mike, talking.
I mean, so I'm going to approach this game a couple different ways. I'm going to do a build. My favorite build is going to be Pollard and the Cowboys D. I mean, let's not forget week 1. On the road at the Giants, this defense put up 37 points, and that was with Daniel Jones, Waller, Giants opening game in the Meadowlands, and they fucking look 3 speeds faster than the Giants. And now they're going to be licking their chops at home in Jerry World, and I think it's going to be worse. I mean, I think they're going to destroy this team, right? So much so to the point that the only way Pollard wouldn't come through is if, the passing game gets there early And then like
Ferguson or
it's just
CD,
so out of
right,
control late that there's more Dowdle than Pollard, you know. But I do like the Pollard defense build number one. And then, you know, I'll have a passing game lineup with like Dak, you know, Lamb and Ferguson. And then I'm going to take a shot with like an all-out like assault lineup with all of them, like Dak, Pollard, Lamb, and Ferguson defense, you know, and just fucking. I mean, the Giants. I don't think this can be competitive at all. I mean, at all.
Yeah, I don't see any way it's going to be competitive.
It's not, and it's.
That's why I worried about.
I'm always the first.
Dowdle, you know, cutting into that. The only way that Pollard wouldn't get there is if the passing game scores early and then he, you know, doesn't get the time to play later. Other than that, it's a smash pop for Pollard.
I don't know. I just think whenever it's too easy for an offense to get there. I mean,
I will be paying up for this defense.
I can see CD Lamb going for 200. I could see fucking Ferguson getting 2 touchdowns.
It could really be anybody.
Right?
It could be
anybody, right? So it's like when we sit here,
and I think most of them get there. I think most of them get there by the fourth quarter.
They probably do, but I mean, you know, most of them are fucking expensive too.
That's the thing. Like, so my idea is if you're gonna play a stack, let's say you go Dak, Pollard, and then you fade CD because of his price, and then you play like Gallup or Cooks, and one of them is going to score, or Ferguson. Okay, he's
I mean, yeah, Ferguson's a play.
Dak's going to throw touchdowns. He's going to throw touchdowns here. He could throw one to Pollard. He could throw one to Cooks. He could hit him on one to the house. He could do the same with Gallup. Like, that's going to happen in this game. I think CD's probably the worst play in this game, not because he's not going to be productive, but for his price. I mean, all you need is one shot to Cooks or one shot to Gallup to pay off their price. You know what I'm saying?
I don't have a single player in this game in my main lineup except the Cowboys D, but you can make a case for all of them. I don't disagree. Healy, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I would just say on the Dallas side, Pollard's my favorite. Ferguson would be my second look, and Mike brought him up. Dowdle, large field, real big tournaments. I wouldn't mind if you're running multiple lineups, throwing him on a handful of teams. If this one does get out of control, he could see 12, 15 carries and at 4.3K.
The way I would play that is I would just play the late slate lineup, the 4 p.m. lineup with Dowdle, where you have less competition to compete with. And, you know, you're not killing your main lineups for a guy you're probably not going to see more than a few carries until halftime because his ownership's going to be the same in a late slate. No one's going to play him in a late slate lineup either. You know, so maybe, you know, get a little bit of exposure there, get a little weird showdown in that game, a late slate, 4 p.m. slate. I think that's where I would go get my Dowdle exposure. Let's go Washington, Seattle here. Injuries in this game. DK Metcalf questionable. Anyone have an update on that? I haven't really looked all day.
I think he's playing, right?
Yep.
Should be. Let me see.
Yeah, no designation.
Curtis Samuel was limited in practice today. That's pretty clean then. I mean, nothing really big going on here. Healy, let's start with you. What do you like in this game?
Yeah. So for this one is I do lean the Seahawks side of this one. I know the Washington obviously gave up a ton on the defensive front. So getting pressure is certainly going to be challenging for them. But Sam Howell is doing enough, whether it's in garbage time or throughout the game. I mean, this team's throwing the ball damn near 50 times a game. They're going to continue to move the ball, maybe be competitive, but put up enough points. So I think keep Seattle pressing a little bit here. So I do like using some various pieces of this game. I prefer using a little bit of Geno Smith here, pairing him with one of the big two. I wouldn't double stack with Metcalf and Lockett. I'd prefer to use one of them and then JSN as the secondary piece if you're kind of building that way. And I don't mind a little Kenneth Walker, who's looks like kind of cleared the injury report here, back to healthy. Not too concerned with Charbonnet. I know he had a little bit of an uptick there before their previous game, but I don't mind that. And then on the Commander side, I like Brian Robinson a little bit at 5,400 here. I know he's on the road, but is utilizing the passing game enough. And we did see a nice increase in usage for him over the recent stretch. I think that kind of continues as the Commanders kind of check out from a season perspective, but continue to kind of play and move the ball from a fantasy perspective. So it's Robinson, and then I like a good bit of this Seahawks offense.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, basically just said everything that I was thinking. So I really don't have anything, to add. But I will say, if it doesn't rain as bad as they're saying, I can see this game shooting out. I can see a high-scoring game here, weather contingent. I could see this like a 30-30 game or just a wild game. I think, you can run on the Seahawks, you can pass against them, and you can clearly pass on the Redskins. And I think that the morale of the team, trading Chase Young, then hitting the road. And Tommy, we talked earlier about that travel point. Now you got like Washington, D.C. up to Seattle, which is a real tough trip. So I don't know about the morale of the Redskins at this point.
Yeah, Jerry, it looks like I'm looking at the forecast now. I think it literally says definite rain.
And it puts me more on the Brian Robinson side because I was going to say that, but like I said, you guys kind of covered it. But I would like Robinson in that situation, in a slog fest, pound the ball. He's their bell cow in that type of game.
Yeah. So what do you?
Yeah, I mean, the weather's not ideal, but I mean, Washington, it's a defense that you're always going to want to attack. I mean, like he mentioned, they got rid of Chase Young, they got rid of Montez Sweat. This defense is it's weakened. They're traveling back west.
I don't know. One thing I will say though, I don't know if Chase Young hurts the run D. Like one of the reasons I like ATM is because Chase Young is there, and Chase Young is just a straight edge pass rusher. He actually leaves the off tackle wide open if you run at him. So I don't know.
But don't you think it weakens
the overall defense for sure? Yeah, 100%. But the run D, I think it's actually probably Chase Young may be a little bit of a liability on the running defense.
I mean, if the weather is not as bad. I mean, I could see a big.
I think we're looking at like 80%, Jared. I think we are. That's why I wanted to go to you for this to see, because great weather. I know where I'm going. I need your help here because.
Well, here's the thing.
80%.
There's spots on the slate I would rather attack with better conditions. I mean,
this was a full stack for me before the weather.
Me too. Same thing.
Yeah.
If the weather's going to be bad, I'm not going to be as exposed to this game. But I don't like the run game either here. Like Walker's a little banged up. I don't want to play Charbonnet. Maybe just pick one of these receivers. I think
Robinson's fine, but he's nothing you're fucking like. He doesn't catch any fucking passes.
Probably McLaurin. I like McLaurin here.
I kind of like Dotson. A little bit of a big body there. Dotson was my call last week over McLaurin. He actually.
I'm gonna have to really, really think about this game. I might just kind of touch on it a little bit more in my article tomorrow. But that weather does kind of.
It sucks, dude. Because how the fuck does Seattle not play in a dome, Jerry? Like, how are you in the state that fucking rains the most in the fucking world, and you don't have a dome? Like,
even the baseball stadiums outside.
Baseball teams in a dome, or like, how the fuck is Seattle?
The baseball stadium it's both. It's a dome and
retractable roof or whatever fucking. But how the fuck do they not have a retractable roof? I mean, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't know. I got to think about
this. This was an all-out. I mean, if by some chance.
Because they're popping. Like, this is such a good spot for Geno and the
such a good spot for everybody in this. Howell goes off every time, no matter where the fuck he is. Because if they're losing, he's going to throw the ball 58 times. If they're winning, it's because he threw 2 or 3 touchdowns and ran for 30 yards. Like, I mean, this was just a money spot.
Just monitor. I would say just monitor the over and under. If you see it moving a lot, the weather's going to be a concern. If it's not, then I think you're okay.
Yeah, let me just give you an update on what the total's doing right now. I know it's Seattle, right?
Right now, it actually
it's only down a point.
Is it down or up a half a point?
From the open, but it's up from where it was. It went down to 44. It's back up to 44.5, 45 in some books. Maybe we don't get it as bad as we thought, but
I mean, if it's 44.5, that's not a monsoon.
Yeah, because I'm looking at NFL weather and a couple of these sites, and it's like definite rain, 80% chance of rain the whole entire time. Wind's not bad. I don't know. This is gonna have to be a sign.
I mean, it could just draw ownership away from the game, and then you get Geno and Metcalf and JSN at a low.
I'm basically just gonna do the opposite of whatever they report. So whatever they say on ESPN that the weather's gonna be, I'm gonna do the exact opposite because that's gonna be fucking a lie because they're in on it, and everyone at DFS is gonna just run if they say rain.
I'll say on the Washington side though, I think Logan Thomas is a pretty good play. I kind of like him. Logan Thomas and McLaurin.
All right. I love Jahan Dotson in this one, Haley. I mean, It's my guy. I've been all over him all year. He's finally coming around. I'm not going to stop now. Dude's 5K. He's cheap. 18 targets last 2 games, 170 yards, touchdowns in back-to-back games. Really can't miss with him. I know McLaurin's only $800 more, but the ownership difference is probably going to be gigantic like it was last week, right?
Yeah, it should be pretty well, not significant. I have McLaurin projected around 13%, but he will be less owned. Yeah, I if the weather pans out, like I'm going to have some kind of game stacks here. Robinson and a pass catcher plus Geno and 2 pass catchers on his side. Because I do think, like Mike said, this game, weather permitting, could definitely shoot out a bit. Commanders just, allow a ton of points, but they've continued to move the ball and score. So,
I mean, if the weather's good, isn't Howell like top 2 main lineup quarterback under 6K? I mean, how you not going Howell as an underdog in a spot where the guy could rush for 30 yards? I mean, he throws the ball 50 fucking times a game.
Yeah. I mean,
he's thrown for 325, 397 in the last 2 games.
Like fantasy wise,
Bellamy's
run he's treating him like Mahomes. He's throwing to 10 different receivers a game, and he's throwing the ball 50 times.
Yeah, and Brian Robinson's been pretty much inept. I mean, the guy hasn't topped fucking 60 rushing yards, I don't think. Since
would you go? Look, they're the same price. Would you go Howell over Geno?
Yeah, I would, because I could see the thing about Seattle is, Carroll wants to fucking run the clock out when he gets a lead, right? So that's his MO. So
would you go Howell over Purdy? Purdy's cheaper than him.
I honestly will tell you this. If you told me it was going to be 70 degrees and sunny, Howell was lock button, not even close, number 1 quarterback. It's not even fucking close, because the only way we know Seattle's going to score, right? Let's say it's beautiful out. Seattle's scoring 25 points. Everyone scores 25 points on the fucking Redskins, right? So they're either going to be beating Seattle, which means they had to score 28 points. It's going to be 90% Howell. Or they're going to be down by fucking 10, and Howell's going to throw the ball 57 times. Healy, do you remember back in the day, 6-7 years ago, when we were fucking meeting at live finals? Remember Blake Bortles that year, where he was like the nut fucking DFS play every week, and he was horrific?
Yeah,
but
him and Allen Robinson.
It was like Blake Bortles. You never wanted to play him because he sucked, but in the third quarter, they'd be down 18, and he would just throw the ball 40 times. Like, that's Howell right now. Like, every week. I said it the last 5 weeks. Every week, this guy comes through. I mean, what's his floor in this game if it's nice? 18 at 5,900? Its floor is 3x.
Yeah, I mean, him and Geno are projected, like, dead on. Like, I mean, they're 100 apart. Their projection has them. Again, it's a projection.
There's a path for Geno to flop, right? There's a path for Kenneth Walker to ruck for $160 and 3 touchdowns. There's no path for anyone to do anything on Washington except Howell.
No, I would agree with you.
I think I would say Howell over Geno here.
I'd like Geno.
You're gonna figure they're going to be playing from behind, even in the rain. He's going to be throwing more than Geno is.
Right. It's just Pete Carroll that if Seattle does have success early, they're going to fuck. They're not like the Cowboys. They're going to put it in neutral and just fucking run. That's what they're going to do. So I don't know, Mike. Any final thoughts on this game here?
No, I mean, I think we all covered it. Weather is going to be the big factor.
Yeah, it's going to be. I have to check the update. Sign up 4deep.com. Promo code VIP20, 20% off. Let's go through real quick. Run through a couple players we're going to be in your lineup this week. I'll start. Give you guys a minute to think. 100% Travis Etienne. Absolute lock button. 100% Laporta. Now that we've heard McBride's going to be 40%.
Siri, remove Travis Etienne from player pool week 10. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So did you do that with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Mooney last week? You're going to play Parham. I'm going to go to
I noticed you picked up Parham in our season long. See what you did
I
there, Tommy.
I did.
See what you did there, Tommy. And remember who invented Trey McBride?
Yeah, how'd that work
Josh
out?
Dobbs, your boy.
Sam Laporta at tight end. So ATN 100%. Laporta. I'll play McBride, obviously, where I have to. But Laporta, I think, is the pay up to be contrarian. And Cowboys defense, 100%. Those three, that's where I'm starting my lineup. ATM, Laporta, Cowboys. And then I'll sprinkle in the Dotsons, Powells, guys like that. Healy?
So for me, it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins this week, Joe Mixon, and then Just going to try to give us something that's a little bit more contrarian. I'm just going to have to go Tony Pollard. Those three pieces.
Way to get off the chalk. Jerry?
I cannot get off the chalk. Tony Pollard will probably be
literally the two of the best contrarian GPP players in DFS history are both playing Tony Pollard. I mean, you guys are.
I'm going a lot of Pollard, Mixon, and I love Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Mike.
It's Najee Harris week at 4,900.
That's never ever.
The more and more I thought about it after we spoke earlier, guys, and I'm fiddling with lineups and. Just, Tommy, before you got on, we were talking about it too, and I made mention there is going to be a week where he gets 3 touchdowns and breaks the slate. This is it, man. The lowest price he was in 2 years at 4,900. He did score last time out and got his typical 70. He is touchdown dependent, but if there was ever a week to do it, I mean, Pittsburgh at home in this weather, Mike Tomlin. I mean, this is the week, man, against the Packers.
4,900.
124 yards rushing per game. I think this is the spot at 4,900, and it unlocks a lot of goodness in my builds. Also, Schultz at 4,900, a decent pivot at tight end. I like Tommy's theory about paying up, so I don't mind paying up for Laporta, but paying up just a little for Schultz in a great game environment, a great matchup against the 32nd ranked against the tight end Bengals. Stroud's hot. I think they're going to continue to throw the ball. I think they're going to find success in Cincy. So to get and with Nico Collins out, I mean, I love what I'm seeing at 4,900 from Schultz. And then the Cowboys D, it's a no-brainer. 4,400, put it in. Don't even outthink it. I mean, they're going to do better than they did in week 1 when they scored 37 points against this very same Giants team with their starters. So those are my 3 top.
Did you guys talk about Tyler Boyd being lock button?
We talked about those Bengals receivers.
Is he going to be crazy owned?
I think Irwin is going to be more owned than he is.
Really?
Yeah.
How own's Boyd going to be?
That's crazy. Really?
I think so.
How own's Boyd going to be?
Hold on. Pulling him up now. Tyler Boyd, 23%.
What's Irwin?
Irwin 3K, right? Irwin 15.
Yeah, I'm Boyd. I mean, you start your lineup with, you get Boyd in there and Powell in there. If you find out Jefferson's not playing,
Tommy, we've talked about the tight ends for Cincy, how there's 3 of them: Irv Smith, Sample, and Tanner Hudson. What are you thinking about those guys?
I don't. The reason, if McBride wasn't 40%, I wouldn't even look at it, because the bottom line is I'm not. Whenever there's cheap chalk, I'm not going to go down on that cheap chalk, right? I can't afford a 0 or 4 at 2,700 if McBride's going to drop 12 at 3,500. So I would ignore them all. If I had to go anywhere, it'd be Irv Smith. I like the big body. I think there's a little more touchdown upside there than Sample or Hudson, but it's either McBride or you go up. I don't think you can take the risk of going down and catch a 4 against an 18 or something. You're automatically dead. But Tyler Boyd, if he's 20%, 25%, yeah, love that spot. But all right, final words, Jerry.
Don't fade Pollard.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. Healy.
Yeah, I mean, the guys that are definitely in my lineup, certainly more of the core plays, but hop over 4deep.com. Check out my Twitter. Doing a giveaway for a handful of free weeks for the DFS side. So if any
someone actually just came in a betting chat. So just got here. Healy gave me a free week or something like that. So
yeah, he hopped on. Must have hopped on with a combo, which is a possibility as well. So that's where it's going to be a core chalk build, but there's going to be a lot of contrarian pieces around that. So article will be out tomorrow. Looking forward to week 10.
All right, Mike.
Lead from the front, be first, Najee Harris.
I don't hate the Najee call. I hate Najee Harris, but I don't hate 4,900. It's crazy. Jerry.
I already went.
Do it again.
Don't fade Pollard.
Oh, that's right. I fucking white. Like, you know how you go on Twitter and you can block words, Healy? I fucking blocked Pollard, so I didn't even hear him fucking speak.
I started talking, he just shut me out.
I'm going to tell you that I'm not going to say don't play Pollard because he's going to score 18 or whatever, but just
Don't play ETN.
No, play ETN. Watch Mike get a fucking dick right in his ass. Play ETN instead of Pollard. Do that, guys. 4, Scarface, Brian Healy, Mike Constantino. I am Tommy G. Go to 4deepbets.com. Promo code VIP20. Buy the combo package. Fuck with us for the rest of the year. If you want the rest of the DFS, plus all our articles, plus the Discord, chat, and everything else we're doing over there, get over there now. It's really cheap. It costs you fucking nothing. Good luck. Stay cash, motherfuckers.